So let's take a look at what Sikhism is about. Look at this quote here by Sikh. By the Guru's grace shalt thou worship him. What might that mean, by the Guru's grace? What is a guru? So we'll look at what the idea of a guru and what is it? What is God? What is God for a practitioner of the Sikh religion? The first thing I think that's probably the most important thing for us as Westerners in the United States to know about Sikhs is the location, where Sikhism was born. If you look at the map here, the map of India and Pakistan, and this region, this blue region here, is called the Punjab. And this is the region where many Sikhs are at present. And it's an area of great conflict because of the wars that have been fought between Muslims and Hindus, as well as between the British and the subcontinent of India. And the fact that this line between the Punjab, within the Punjab or between the Punjab has been drawn somewhat arbitrarily, it's created a lot of division between Muslims and Hindus. And as well as Sikhs. So this is a particularly interesting geography. We have to consider what it must have been like for the founder of Sikhism to grow up in a region that was both heavily influenced by Islam and heavily influenced by Hinduism. Hinduism being one of the world's oldest religions, and Islam starting in the 5th century. Now we're moving into when the first guru of Sikhism, Guru Nanak, lived almost 1,000 years after the beginning of Islam. So Sikhism is one of the world's youngest religion, and it grew out of this unrest between Muslims and Hindus. And at present, significantly, it is one of the world's largest religions. Many people, particularly after 9/11 in the United States, confused Sikhs with Muslims because of the turban that many of the men, or maybe most of the men, wear in the Sikh tradition. That's a sign of being Sikh, is that turban around the head. And so consequently, if you were wearing a turban, if you were a Sikh wearing a turban after 9/11, you were targeted as a potential terrorist. So I think it's really important that we understand Sikhism as its own religion, distinct from Islam, and that there has been a lot of discrimination in the United States towards Sikhs. And this is really important to keep in mind, because even here in Iowa, there is a fairly large Sikh community. So we need to learn, we need to understand, what is the Sikh religion about? What do Sikhs say that the Sikh religion is about? So there are basically 3 central concepts to Sikhism. If you want to know Sikhism in a nutshell, these are the 3 things that we need to keep in mind. The first one is work hard to earn a living. Work hard. Do your job. Do the best that you can at whatever job God has given you to do, or society has given you to do. Do your best to earn a living. Make it an honest living, that you're not cheating people. The second thing is to be generous with the money that you have. Give to the needy when and where you can. The third thing and the last thing is to keep the name of God on your lips. Always keep the name of God on your lips. Those three things, very simple tenets of Sikhism. Guru Nanak his years are 1469 to 1539, and he is considered the founder of Sikhism. He was born in this Punjab region that, as I mentioned, is both home to Muslims and Hindus. He was said to be very contemplative as a child. He married and worked as an accountant. At the age of 30, he has what we would call perhaps a mystical experience where he goes to bathe in a river and he is not seen then for three days. And it's thought that he drowned. He was underwater for 3 days. He comes back. He was taken during that 3-day period. He was taken to God. And when he emerges 3 days later, his chief message is that there is no distinction between, or the distinction between Muslims and Hindus is not important. So here's the story. One morning while Nanak was bathing in the river, he did not resurface from the water. He was presumed drowned, and yet his body was not found. 3 days and 3 nights later, however, Nanak emerged from the river, and returning to the village, he proclaimed, quote, "There is neither Hindu nor Muslim, so whose path shall I follow? I shall follow God's path. God is neither Hindu nor Muslim, and the path which I follow is God's." When he explained what had happened, Nanak said that he had been escorted to the court of God, who gave him a cup of amrit, the same drink that is used in the Khalsa initiation ceremony, and said to him, so this is God speaking now, "This is the cup of the adoration of God's name. Drink it. I am with you. I bless you and raise you up. Whoever remembers you will enjoy my favor. Go, rejoice in my name and teach others to do so. I have bestowed the gift of my name upon you. Let this be your calling." This experience dramatically changed Nanak's life, causing him to cease participation in the civic life of Sultanpur, to send his wife and sons back to his parents' home, and to embark on the next major stage of his life. So that's a little bit, and this is coming directly from the textbook we're using here, The Invitation to World Religions. So what are the central beliefs of Sikhism besides the 3 central tenets that I mentioned? The first one is devotion to God, be devoted to God. But what is God according to a Sikh? What are the attributes of God? How can we describe what God is? Formless, beyond space and time. God is equivalent to truth, and God is itself reality as we know it. So formless, this is the transcendent aspect of God. Beyond time and space, this is transcendence. God is truth. This is God as immanent. What is the truth? Right? We know the truth when we hear it spoken. And God is reality itself. This is God as immanent within the world. So there's both this transcendent above and beyond the world, as well as immanent within the world. The second major belief is that the light of God shines through the guru. So guru is basically, it's a word for a teacher, and it can be a human being. Guru, the word itself, means dark and light. So it is a person or something that leads one out of darkness and into light. So for Sikhs, there have been 10 historical gurus, beginning with Guru Nanak, the one that I just told the story about. And after the 10th guru, there was a decision made to not have any more gurus, to not pass on the teachings through a human being, but to make a book which itself became a guru. And that book is known as the Adi Granth. These are the words compiled by the gurus. So they're the words of the gurus, but there are also words found within Christianity, words found within Judaism, within Islam, within Hinduism, and other world religions. A third belief of Sikhs is that they do not claim to be the only path to God. In other words, Sikhism is not the only truth. They recognize the validity of other religions like Hinduism, Islam, Buddhism, Christianity, Judaism. They recognize that there is more than one path to God. And because of that, they're not proselytilic. They're not going to go out and try to convert you to their way. If you have a way, great. Then there's no need to follow the Sikh way. Right? But of course, they're also very welcoming and open to non-Sikhs. So for example, in our area, in this neck of the woods where I live, central Iowa, there is a Sikh temple that I've been invited to, that I've gone to on several occasions, and they have been more than welcoming. The Gurudwara, it's called, the Johnston Gurudwara. So it's a Sikh temple near Ankeny in the small town of Johnston. So check it out. See if you'd like to go for a visit, check out the times that they provide visits on their website. Well, now we're in COVID time, so we don't know about being together. But anyways, they are open for that, and perhaps even a phone conversation if you're interested. So some basic similarities and differences with Hinduism. The similarities with Hinduism is that there is a belief in reincarnation, the idea that a human being traverses from one life to the next until they reach union with God. And what that looks like or what that means is perhaps not clearly known by Sikhs. But there is this belief in reincarnation, and that when we die, we become one with the Creator, one with God. There's a belief in liberation from the cycle of samsara. Differently from Hinduism is that Sikhs believe in one God, or that God is one. So there aren't multiple images for God, as you may find in certain forms that Hinduism takes. Because keep in mind also that Hinduism, with its great diversity, also affirms the oneness of God, or that God is one. Okay, and this second difference with Hinduism is that there is not an affirmation of the caste system. In fact, Sikhs believe that all people should be considered as equals. The best way to access divine is, interestingly, for me, through sound. God can be made through sound. In this way, it's actually also similar to Hinduism, because Hindus, if you remember back to Hinduism, that Hindus believe that God is made present through sound. And one of the central words that you can use to access God for Hindus is the chanting of Om. And that is, so chanting the names of God is one of the ways that Sikhs get access to God. So I'd like you to listen to the sounds I'm about to share with you. Listen to the sounds. This is This is Sikhs chanting the names of God.
जिस सिमरत दुख कोई न लागे, पहुँचल पार उतारा। जिस सिमरत दुख कोई न लागे, पहुँचल पार उतारा। बाबुल मेरा, बाबुल मेरा, बाबुल मेरा, बाबुल मेरा। वड समरथा बाबुल मेरा, वड समरथा मेरा। करण 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 प्रभहारा। बाबुल मेरा, बाबुल मेरा, बाबुल मेरा,
Okay. Well, thank you for listening to that song. So a couple of, it's not a song, it's actually a way of worship. So a couple of things there that you may have noticed is the repetition, constantly repetition. And one of the words for God, not all of the words for God, names for God, is Father, right? That harkens back to both Christianity and Judaism, but there are many names for God that Sikhs may recite, and that's one of them, Father. Okay, so I'd like to make some final remarks on Sikhism. Find God through work, worship, and charity. All people, men and women, should be treated equally. Sikhs have great respect for women. And that last is that the enemy is not another religion. The enemy is corruption. Corruption in society. All right. So thank you for listening to this short summary of the teachings, some of the teachings within Sikhism. And to keep in mind that because I'm not a Sikh, there's no way I can really convey Sikhism to you. And that is not my point. You're going to have lots of diverse views from Sikhs that may not agree with each other. I'm hoping that this particular teaching that I've shared today gives you some idea of some of the foundational teachings within Sikhism, and that helps us to at least feel comfortable exploring this religion that on the surface may seem very foreign to some of us. Thank you.